And just like that, the Calgary Flames season is about to start.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today, we're going to talk about the projected lines for Game 1 against the Vancouver Canucks Wednesday night, as well as looking at Sharangovich's absence in terms of his new contract and coming off of last season's success. And of course, we're just going to wrap up the show with some Game 1 predictions, because who doesn't love, predictions? Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. Yes. So the regular season kicks off tomorrow night in Vancouver, and it's so exciting, and I hope everyone is looking forward to this season. I think it means a little something different for everyone this year, and I hope that hockey can bring us all together and get us through whatever we're going through. And, this show's here for you. So you have an escape from, real life for 30 minutes, and happy to be here for you guys. But let's talk about these projected lines. This is pretty big. Sam Honzek, Kadri, and Kuzmenko. That's your top line. Sam Honzek getting first line minutes is huge. This kid came in as one of the most over-criticized players coming from last season to this season. And I was part of that. I was hypercritical of him. First round pick. You should be playing better than he started camp with. And he did a 180 and has come wavelengths. It's fantastic. And I think that being on a line with Kadri is great, because we saw, obviously Kadri is a fantastic center as is, but we saw how dynamic he was with the two young kids, Pospisil and Zary, last season. And he's patient and understanding, and as well as a good hockey player. And, you need someone that is talented, but also, hey, why don't we try this? Like, instead, or, instead of going down here, why don't you try to go across, like, teachable moments. And I think that's important, especially in your first game. But not even just your first game, but your first season as a whole. I think that it is just so important for him to get off on, like, to be set up for success and get off on the right foot. And then you have Zary, Backlund, and Coleman. I do miss Mangiapane. That line was so special, but I do really like that Zary's on this line, because it shows you that, Huska has a lot of faith in Zary and what he can bring to that line. And I think that obviously we know the dynamic of that line. It's a very two-way heavy game, two-way game heavy line. And I think that it is so great, again, to see a young kid entering his second season on a line with veterans. And your third line is Huberdeau, Pospisil, and Mantha. $10.5 million player playing on your third line. It is what it is. You can't really argue with it too much, because you'll drive yourself crazy. But it's good to see Pospisil getting a shot at center. They talked about playing him at center during the start of camp, I believe, or in the middle of camp. So it's good that he's getting some in-game experience with it. And your fourth line is Lomberg, Rooney, and Klapka. What a line. Beefy dudes, big beefy dudes, right? Like that's what you're looking at. And when you look at that line, I'm sorry. You guys know that I'm ride or die for Jacob Pelletier. Like this line, he does not fit on that line. Small, breakable twig compared to a guy like Lomberg, like Rooney, who's like 6'2", and heavy, has more muscle to him, as well as, Adam Klapka. Like, I'm sorry, but it just a very different style of gameplay there from that fourth line. Yes. And then your defensive pairings, you have Mackenzie Weegar and Miramonov. Really like this. I want to see Miramonov get those top pairing minutes. I think that he's going to, he acclimated well at the trade deadline, and I think we're going to see some more of that this year. And then you have Kevin Ball with Rasmus Anderson. I like this. I think that, obviously Rasmus Anderson is potentially on the chopping block come the trade deadline, but that is so far away that like we honestly can't even think about that. But I do think Kevin Ball, with him missing some time at the start of camp, it may work against him in terms of getting game ready. And we're going to talk more about that with Sharangovich coming up next. And then Bean and Pahal, good third pairing to round you out. And then you have Vladar as the starter and Dustin Wolf as your backup. That is that. I think, presumably saving Dustin Wolf for the home opener. Good stuff. I'll take it. And then real quickly here, your power play units this morning, on Monday, were PP1 was Kadri, Huberdeau, Kuzmenko, Zary, and Weegar. Obviously like that. Really want to see Kuzmenko continue to find that power play success. And the second unit is Backlund, Coleman, Mantha, Honzek, and Anderson. That's good. I like that. I'm hoping that when Coronado comes back into the lineup, we do see him on the power play. I would really like to see that, and hopefully he'll be able to find success there again. But coming up next, we're going to talk about Yegor Sharangovich, coming in on an injury after signing that contract extension this summer, as well as coming off of his career year. And we will be right back after this. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season big with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Thanks, everyone, for making Locked On Flames part of your day. I hope you are having a great week, and make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as well. This is an interesting situation because I feel like the Flames have been pretty lucky compared to other teams in terms of the injury bug in recent years. I think that obviously last year, Pelletier and Rooney had their shoulder surgeries and injuries. Rasmus Anderson the year before missed a little bit of time after being hit by a car on a scooter. And then obviously Chris Tanev's, experience in the playoffs. He was a little dinged up at the end there. But, coming in after a career year on a new contract, I am sure that you are itching to prove everyone prove yourself to everyone even more. I think that last year was a great year for Sharangovich. I thought that it was, it was an unprecedented, and unexpected year offensively, and I don't think he expected it either because of the year he had previously, but of course he had an increase in responsibility on the ice, so his production naturally goes up. But he is starting the season on IR. There were reports of, I believe it was Huska, who came out and said that there's no surgery required, which is good. He was skating with the team this morning. So, I'm thinking things are trending in a positive direction, but it's, better to be safe than sorry here. And I'm excited for him. I think that it's a bummer to start your season without your leading scorer from last year. But it also means that, a young kid got the opportunity to make the roster. I think that both parties are lucky in the sense of, this not being as serious or a significant injury, which, uh, you know, would require surgery. I think it's a good thing. And, rest up and start getting prepared for the game day action. Um, I do I hate when players have to miss time. I think that it is such like especially at the start of the season, you're at such a disadvantage because everyone else is already like finding their footing again and getting into uh game day mode and cranking up the intensity for that, and you're not able to do that and you're kind of, I guess, falling behind because you didn't start the season with everyone else. And I think it happens with a lot of players. I would say most players, because you don't have the opportunity to play the same time as everyone else, or uh, start the season with everyone else. And I think that we saw that last year with Pelletier. He missed the whole season pretty much up until March with that shoulder injury, and he wasn't able to find his footing. And then he gets dinged up again. So he's even like more deer in the headlights. And I think that is unfortunately something that's going to happen. I hope that Sharangovich is able to, rebound quickly and not miss too much time. It would be uh, stinky. I don't want to say detrimental for this team's success because everyone has a different version of what success looks like for the Flames this year. And if you want the Flames to be in the playoffs, then yes, it is detrimental. But if you want there to be more youth integrated into this lineup, great. This is not detrimental to to your narrative. Obviously, wishing nothing but the best for Yegor. I think that injuries stink, and I'm sure that he's working his way back. But the other thing you have to think about here are unfortunately the storylines. He just signed that 5-year contract extension after 1 year with the Flames and having a great year. I think he's a fine hockey player. I don't have any ill will towards him or reservations about him. I think that he was able to improve his game from, when he came over from New Jersey, and that's great. But you have to start, unfortunately, immediately thinking, oh, is this going to age bad? Is this a bad omen? Is this a bad way to start out the year? Like, are there red flags here that we missed? Like, is this no, injuries happen. It does not matter who you are. But I hope that Sharangovich does have a good season. I have no issues with him. I think that he's a good hockey player. He's someone that the team really does benefit from. And I like watching him. I think that he's he's a very interesting person. You know, he loves his Legos, and him and Huberto bonded. They were able to build up like a friendship and chemistry by building Legos together. And I think that's super exciting. That's so neat and different because, you know, most guys, you know, oh, let's go out to dinner, let's go play golf. No, let's sit down and play Legos. I think that that's great. And you get to know someone's patience level when you start building Legos, even if it's by yourself. You start to build a tolerance. Um, but I wouldn't expect him to be out too long. Maybe, you know, another week, 10 days. I'm not sure. But I'm hopeful. I think that things are going to go well for, you know, the first week or so for this team, getting back into the groove of things. But unfortunately, we know that things don't always go as planned. And I just am I'm optimistic in terms of players meeting individual expectations. And Kadri said it today. There's a ton of sneaky talent in that locker room. And he's right. We know how good these players are individually. And I'm hoping that as a team, they can come together and find something and build something and get, I don't want to say get this thing off the ground because that is very premature. But you know, I hope they have a good season. Ultimately, we all just want to watch good hockey. That's all we want to do. But coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with game one predictions because I love being wrong. And there's no better way for me to do that and feed into that like predictions. So we will be right back after this. And in these words from Indeed. We are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on this Tuesday edition of Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. I am astonished that it is already time for regular season hockey. Like I can't believe it. I really feel like just yesterday I was crying because Matthew Tkachuk won the Stanley Cup. And that was like 3 months ago. Yeah, 4 months ago? Yeah, because it's October. I can't do math. But the Flames haven't played a regular season game in 6 months. So I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to this season. And I understand that people are rooting for the playoffs, people are rooting for a rebuild, people are rooting for whatever. I am here to watch hockey and I want to have fun. And I think a big part of this season is just taking it in strides. It is a long 82 game season and game 1 is tomorrow night. But what can we expect tomorrow night? Or what do I think will happen? I think that Connor Zary opens the scoring. I think that if there's anyone that's going to do it, it's going to be him. We've seen him play obviously at this level before, and I feel like he is always so I don't know where the numbers are or like how to prove this factually, but I feel like he typically scores very early on, like right off the bat, and I would like to see that. I do think Vladar is going to have some, rust. He's going to have to shake it off because, he's coming off of hip surgery. But I guess, I don't believe Thatcher Demko is playing either. So, like, I mean, maybe the Flames can play a little better offensively without a brick wall in net. But I do hope that, Vladar does look good. I hope that, we don't see a Vladar that we were so painfully used to seeing last year. And if it happens, okay, it's game one. Like, there is truly nothing you can do. It's not the end of the world. I do think that this team is going to look a lot faster. I really think you're going to see a lot of noticeable changes and not just like technical like fundamental stuff. I think you're going to be seeing a lot faster, a lot better communicate. Well, I guess that is fundamental. A lot better communication. I think you're going to see a big difference in how players work together this year. This is a very different roster. I'm not even just talking about the forwards. I think as a whole, let's count together. So these are forwards that weren't regulars or with the team last year. Honzek, Mantha, Lomberg, Klapka. Klapka did come up at the end, but Ball, Bean, and Barry. Granted, Barry isn't playing, but that's seven players. And that is a good amount. And they have had time to kind of get acclimated and settled and build chemistry and things like that. But you don't know how you play in a game together until you're playing in a game. And I'm so excited to see all of the different combinations we get. Maybe Pospisil does work out at center. Maybe he doesn't. There's so much opportunity for all of these different players, and I think that's so fun and something to look forward to. With all these changes, you have to take your lumps, you have to take your medicine, but there are still going to be bright spots in there. I do think that Dustin Wolf is this is more of, I guess, like a season wide take rather than obviously just game one. I think that uh you know there there should be more attention on Dustin Wolf starting, like getting a full like his first real shot at an NHL starting position. I think that Flames fans are spoiled. We've gotten to watch him develop. We've gotten to be like, "Oh, this is our next guy. This is our next guy." And he's here. His resume is so impressive. I want to see more people talking about it. But that being said, I do think the Flames lose tomorrow night. I think they lose 4-2. The Vancouver Canucks are they had some roster turnover this summer as well. Obviously, former Flames, Zadorov and Elias Lindholm are no longer there. They found themselves rehomed as a bonded pair in Boston. They added Danton Heinen. They added Jake DeBrusk. They did a lot, and good for them. I'm very interested to see how things look in comparison to last year. I know that last year was really like their first year kind of proving themselves and kind of getting themselves out of the rut and the drought that wasn't really a drought. Can you call they needed to pick up the pieces and kind of do what the Flames are doing. And except they have high-end talent. A lot of players with high-end talent. So we're gonna have to see what the Flames are capable of this year. I am not ruling anything out. We know that this team loves to surprise us. And I would not put it past anyone. And like Kadri said earlier today, this team has a lot of sneaky talent. So let's put it to good use. Thank you, everyone, for making Locked On Flames part of your day. I hope you have a fantastic day and are getting ready for the game tomorrow. I'm so excited. I leave for Calgary in a couple days. Wranglers home opener, Flames home opener, going up to Edmonton for the Battle of Alberta. And I hope, and I know that Calgary is going to be the greatest city I've ever been to. So thank you, everyone. And I look forward to chatting with you all tomorrow and updating with any more news before game time. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. I'll see you tomorrow.